Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. You guys should know Peter. He's a familiar face on my channel, but if you didn't and you're new, this is Peter, my husband. So if you guys are reading the title of this video, then you'll probably be like, how is he your husband if you guys are rescheduling / canceling your wedding?
Think about it.
Watch the old vlogs. We got legally married. So legally, we're husband and wife, but ceremoniously and receptionally, is that the word?
What?
The adjective. We have not had our official wedding party / event yet with our family. Yeah, the reception. We've just not done that yet. So as you guys know, we were originally planning to have our wedding this year on May 24th. Up until this point, I have been very open in sharing the entire process with you guys in regards to planning it, doing a venue visit, picking out my dress. Well, you actually haven't seen that yet because I was going to essentially include my dress in the final reveal video. So you'll have to wait another year to see that. About going to our wedding tasting, picking out our traditional dresses for like the Chinese and Vietnamese side, and just essentially like surprising my bridesmaids, that sort of thing. So I felt that we owed you guys kind of an update on the situation because it's coming very close to the original wedding date that we had set. And unfortunately, due to the whole coronavirus and COVID-19 situation, we are unable to have our wedding this year. I know that there are a lot of other brides out there who are facing the same dilemma as us. We have a few friends of ours, like 3 or 4 actually this year, who were supposed to also have their weddings literally like a week or 2 right after ours. We were supposed to fly straight to Italy within, I think, 2 weeks of our wedding to attend a friend's wedding, and then another friend's wedding a week after that, also in Italy, and then go to Spain in September for another friend's wedding. So needless to say, none of that is happening this year.
Cancelled.
And I don't know, like how did you feel about that situation?
Initially it was like with the bachelor and bachelorette parties, right? Because we were going to go on the same weekend at the end of March.
Like
well, I was going to go at the end of
2
March.
weeks ago,
and then you were going to go like a few days after me.
Yeah, that was the original plan, was for us to go to bachelor and bachelorette trips, and that was already on the fence. We're like, I think we're gonna reschedule that.
I think once that got canceled, I knew everything else would get canceled.
I was holding out hopes for us to actually be able to have the wedding still. Because at the time when all of this went down, it was like beginning of March, right? And everybody was like, oh, things are gonna be okay. We're gonna be in lockdown for like 2 weeks. Well, everybody was like, lockdown for 2 weeks, quarantine, self-isolate, social distance. But surprise, surprise, nobody listens to these rules, and everybody kept going outside. So for those of us who actually social distance and quarantine ourselves, we're now having to like continue to, pay that price for everybody else who wasn't doing it.
Sure.
If you want
to say. I think, I hope that everyone is doing it now.
Well, you can tell they're not, though. They literally handed out like $32,000 in fines last weekend alone from people who were just hanging out in parks.
Keep it up.
Yeah, keep it up to the police,
fines.
but please don't keep it up people who are going outside unnecessarily. You are putting the rest of us in a very difficult predicament where we literally have to cancel our lives.
Literally.
Because of your selfishness.
Literally.
But I think like it didn't really hit me at first when we had to reschedule our wedding. Like when we first thought about it, we're like, May, so far off. We can still have our wedding. As the date came closer and closer, I started to realize like there's no point because we had some friends who were flying in out of town. One of my aunts lives in Chicago and she has to fly in. We have a lot of older people in our family that are really important to us, which we would love to have at the wedding, and knowing how the current predicament is in the world, it's probably not the best idea for them to attend, which would just kind of make the wedding almost like meaningless for us. We've already gotten legally married, so the wedding itself would just be to kind of have like a huge celebration with our family. Yeah. And like for me, it was really important for my grandma and grandpa to be there.
Yeah, we like initially when they were banning like gatherings of 100 people or 50 people, we toyed with the idea of just doing this like the traditional ceremony at home, and then we soon came to realize it would be a bad idea to even have like 10 people around together at once. Is so risky.
Yeah.
And like, it's not really worth it to risk our health over that.
No, like.
So, it is what it is.
We weighed out the pros and cons.
Yeah.
The pros and cons for keeping the wedding this year would be that we'd be able to move ahead of the date we originally booked. The con would be potentially putting people who are immunocompromised at risk. Just having a wedding that we had not envisioned to begin with, like way less people.
Yeah.
And if you just think about how that wedding would operate, like people would not be hugging, they would not be shaking hands. They wouldn't be able to dance with each other if you had to dance 2 meters away from your friend. Like, that's just not fun. So it would be a forced situation. And it would just, I don't know, I felt like it would just take all intents and purposes out of the wedding because you can't do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And weddings are such intimate events to begin with, and you would not be able to be intimate with your family and friends. So we took our options and looked to next year to see what it would be like if we got married next year. Cons would be we wouldn't have our wedding this year. It would be delayed another whole year. And then that would be almost a whole 3.5 years from when we've been engaged. It already feels like it's been long enough since, our original wedding date would have been 2.5 years? Yeah, 2.5 years. And then adding on another whole year, more than a year now, because we'd be almost like a month and a half out from our original wedding date. So now we're extending it by another 12 months. So 13.5 months away from us now. I'm thankful though, because I hadn't finished completing booking everything that I needed to begin with. When all this kind of settled down, I was in the process of booking like hair, makeup, and florals. Well, looking into it and trying to get it done last minute. So it kind of worked out in the long run for us.
It's a silver lining.
Silver lining, yes. That's the good way of looking at it. But I think it's better for us to just reschedule completely for next year.
Yeah, obviously.
We were originally thinking of like maybe end of this year just to keep within the year, but then a lot of factors came up, such as I didn't want a winter wedding. Is that something you'd be down with?
No, I don't like the cold.
No,
I don't like the cold. And if it's not cold, if it's like slushy or whatever, I'm not about that.
Yeah.
Not about that life.
For any of you who are planning your wedding or who have gotten married, then you'll know that you pick a specific time of the year to get married because you want either like flowers that only bloom in May, or like summer colors in the trees, or you want the fall colors in the trees, or you want a beautiful snowy backdrop. So it's a lot harder than you would think to just switch your wedding for any other time of the year. It doesn't work like that. There's a lot of things that come into play when it comes to planning your wedding. Also, juggling around when all of your vendors are going to be available as well, because just because you can rebook your wedding date with your venue doesn't mean yet your photographer, videographer, florist, DJ, hair and makeup, and anybody else that you need to hire is also available on the new date. They might have already been committed to another wedding that they agreed to before you approach them and ask for a different wedding date. So that was so many different things that we had to juggle on our end, and thankfully all of our vendors were available on the new date. So I think that we're really lucky on that part. You haven't picked up your suit yet, which also helps because eventually by now you'd have had to start looking into suits because we'd be a month and a half out, right? But it's a good thing that we actually didn't start.
I mean, as a guy, like my body doesn't change that much, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Suits are easy for guys.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is plan it like 2 months in advance. How long does it take to tailor a suit? Or have it tailored? Like a week and a half? 2 weeks at most? If it's slow, you're good.
So he's lucky. So we're just gonna delay that till next year. I've already picked up my dress. It's been altered and fitted to me. So unfortunately, that's something I'm gonna have to monitor really closely. I'm just hoping that my body doesn't change in any sort of way between now and next year when we're getting married, because the dress is like literally fitted to me. So when it zips up, I don't move. It's not stretchy either. So if I work out and gain muscle mass in places that I didn't expect myself to, or I eat too much and gain fat mass in other places I didn't expect to, then I'm gonna be SOL. We're not gonna be able to go home anytime in the upcoming like few weeks, but I think from now until the wedding,
like to Ottawa, you mean?
To Ottawa. But between now and the wedding, every time we go back to Ottawa, once we're able to again, I'm gonna have to try to start trying the dress every single time I go home to make sure it still fits me. That way I know that like this body part is not suitable for the dress anymore. I gotta work on that so that I can still wear it next year. Because it's a lot of money. Getting your dress fitted is a lot of money, and you don't want that to go down the drain. So
but who knows how often we'll be able to go back.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right?
We'll have to see, because I think Trudeau just announced that this is going to be around for another year. Things won't get back to normal for another year. Well, things won't get back to normal for another year.
But that could mean a lot of stuff, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that could just mean that the disease sticks around for a while and they have to monitor it more carefully.
But then it also affects how many people are able to come to our wedding, too, since we have some guests that are going to be flying in and out of the country for it.
Yeah.
And there are people that I would like to be able to attend in the wedding, so
I
don't know. it's a difficult time. I've spoken to a lot of my other friends who are also in the same dilemma and who have also had to reschedule our weddings, and they all feel the same way as well. It's such a hard decision to make because you've literally spent the last year to 2 years planning for this, both like mentally, psychologically, emotionally as well. Like all these different things. And when you have to reschedule something like this, it feels like you're losing something, like you're being robbed of an experience almost.
I wouldn't say that.
I think we've come to terms with it because we made this decision so early on in the whole coronavirus situation. I know of a lot of people who have like August and September weddings right now who are just starting to get into the same mindset that we were about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I won't lie, I broke down and cried like a couple of times when we had to make this final decision because it was hard. Like it was really hard. I would honestly like related to almost like grieving the loss of something because it's so close and then you just have it ripped out of your hands completely and it's completely out of your control, which was one of the aspects that we kind of relied on to make ourselves feel a little bit better, that none of these decisions were conscious decisions that we made on our own or we had control over. It's just the way things are going to happen. So because we have no control over it, we might as well accept it. And I think that helped for me.
I mean, whatever helps you get through. I don't know. Once mid-March hit, I knew that it was going to last for a while. So as soon as I canceled my bachelor party, I canceled the wedding in my mind at the same time.
I held off for the longest time on my bachelorette.
Yeah, I know you did.
You canceled yours, and
I canceled way in advance.
Like 2 weeks before I canceled, and I had this group chat with my bridesmaids where we were like, yeah, we're still going to do it. This is when it was still only isolated in like China and Italy at this point and had not really reached.
Only in Europe.
Only Europe, hadn't reached North America yet. So we're like, yeah, like we might as well just still go. It's not that big of an issue just quite yet, so everybody's safe. And then I think literally within 24 hours after we had that conversation, shit just hit the fan in North America. So we canceled it. And because it was such like an abrupt decision, it was a hard decision to make because you're hyping yourself up for a fun trip with your girls, like one of your once in a lifetime trips, and then suddenly it's just like, nope, not happening. So it was just very hard to wrap our minds around. Like it felt like we had just had the rug pulled out from underneath us.
Yeah.
Or at least for me. I don't know how you felt.
I don't know. I was more concerned about my friends who were attending as well.
Yeah.
Because like if you have kids, at that time we didn't know as much about it, right? Mm-hmm. And it was when the WHO had just labeled it as a pandemic. So, you know, if you have kids, if you're around a lot of adults, or if you're immunocompromised, which in my group of friends are people of each of those, it's dangerous, right? So I was more like, I don't want to do this if I'm going to put you at risk, or if I'm going to put your kids at risk, or your grandparents, or whoever. I'm good. Like, I don't care. Screw the party. I'd rather your family be good. So that was my approach. It was very just, if it works, great, but I'm not putting anyone's life at risk over this. Yeah. It's not worth it. I don't care.
I think at the end of the day, what really helped us to like grapple with this whole situation is understanding that health is number one. You only have one body and one life, so there is no point risking it for any of these sort of experiences that you want to have.
Do not risk it for the biscuit.
Do not risk it for the biscuit.
Biscuit must be
intact.
Yes, intact and left to disinfect for 72 hours.
Okay. But what we're trying to say is that all of these experiences would have been great for us, but we have to put ourselves in everybody else's shoes. If we went forward and had our bachelorette parties and had our wedding, we would have a lot of family and relatives who would have to make the difficult decision as to whether or not they want to put themselves in a situation of potentially contracting coronavirus from somebody else that's attending the wedding or like on a trip somewhere, and that would probably make them ultimately decide not to attend the wedding or not to attend the trip, and that would also affect us, I guess, directly, because we wouldn't have as much fun without them. And everybody that we've invited to the trips and to the wedding are people that we want to be there. So I've never envisioned my wedding without any of these people. Having the wedding itself, specifically like now or later, I've come to terms with it, it's not the biggest issue for me. At the end of the day, I just want everybody to be healthy and to have fun and to be happy. So we're not going to sacrifice anybody's health or risk it for the wedding, which is why we have decided to postpone our wedding for next year. I'm actually very thankful that our wedding was in May and we were able to make this decision earlier, because I know that a lot of people who are having their weddings later on the year, they're like dealing with this right now. And like we were in like almost a month and a week, 5 weeks into quarantine now, right? And everybody's kind of like, oh, things are getting better. It's gonna be summer soon. The coronavirus is gonna kind of like die down and things will be okay. And I think that's getting their hopes up. So they're stuck in this huge limbo as to whether or not like they should proceed with the wedding. Should they hold out longer? And the longer that they hold out, everybody else who's deciding to change their dates is gonna pick up new dates for next year. So I think it is a sense of peace for myself that we made this decision so early on, and now I don't have to worry about it. We literally just like don't think about it anymore. At this point, it's like what's done is done.
Yep.
We're just gonna wait till next year.
It's kind of like when you're in school and have to do public speeches. You just gotta go first to get it over with.
That's essentially it.
The decision was made nice and early, and that's it. Done deal. So that's it. 1 year, an additional year, 1 more year for me to work out. That's all I care about. I'm gonna grow my hair out to the perfect length. A little long right now, but it could be a bit longer.
It's okay, I trimmed it the other day, so it's looking fresh. I'll have to probably cut it again in a week or two. It's going really fast now.
Yeah. It's because there's no fresh air in here. Stagnant air makes my hair grow faster.
I don't think that's a thing.
Stagnant air
Are you
grows
relating
your
yourself
hair.
to a plant with humidity?
Stagnant air grows the hair.
Okay, stop. So that's essentially our, I guess not justification and reasoning, but that's our story of why we had to cancel the wedding this year and reschedule it for next year. I hope that provides some clarification to any of you guys who were wondering what's going on. If you are also in the same boat and you have a wedding that you're attending, or you're planning a wedding, or you're just in the process of like rescheduling your wedding, I hope you guys understand that all of your feelings are valid. Anybody who tells you that it's not fair for you to feel sad because it's just a wedding and there are people dying out there, like that's not okay. All of your feelings are 100% valid. You're allowed to grieve the loss of a happy moment that you were looking forward to. Like, it's totally okay. And if you guys ever at any point have any questions, or you would like anybody to talk to, or if you just need somebody who understands your situation, we're always here. Feel free to reach out to us via Instagram or email, or I don't think you can on YouTube, but just leave us a comment down below.
Word.
We are here for you guys, and we want the best for you. It's a difficult time, but we can get through this together, and I wish everybody nothing but the best. We hope that you guys are at home, staying safe, healthy, and happy. We're trying our best to make the best of the situation. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching my video today, and thank you, Peter, for making a little cameo.
That's what I do.
Helping support me with this
That's
video.
what I does.
Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day, and we will see you in the next video. Bye!